good morning, my friends. Welcome to the Needlebug. My name is Karen. Come on in. Have a seat. Grab a cup of coffee. I think it's time that we stitch together for a while. I haven't done this for, wow, way too long. I honestly don't remember. It's been that long. I've had other videos out there, but we haven't stitched together for a while. So welcome to anybody that's new. I'm glad you found us, and I'm super glad you're joining us. And for those that are returning, thanks for stopping by again. I hope you all enjoy your time here. Oh, so what to talk about today? Well, first of all, it is one dreary, rainy, not so nice day here in Pennsylvania. So it is a great day to stitch. Now, I was going to go to the store and grab a couple groceries for some muffins that I want to make to take along on my trip. I'm leaving on Wednesday to go to Virginia to visit a stitchy friend. And I wanted to take some delicious pumpkin muffins along. But I don't think I'm going to the store in the rain. Not exactly my favorite thing to do. So with that, we're gonna sit here and stitch a while and see how much we can get done on Stitcher's Retreat. I'm at a really confetti heavy place here, but we'll work our way through it. Not a big deal. Okay, we can get rid of this one. And I'm using the new app, Pattern Keeper, which I totally love. So for any of you that haven't found it yet, you might want to check it out, because it is just oh, that's not right. Let's try this one. Okay, maybe I want to bring this down. Sorry about that. I'm reaching to get my bobbins here. For my thread colors. So sorry I'm jiggling you a little bit, but we'll work past that. And I love it because rather than, let me slide this over here and show you. Let me back out here a little bit so you can see. What I really like is the fact that my next stitch is this symbol here. And all I have to do is go into my highlighter and I highlight the stitch I want to do, and it over here tells me what color it is, so that I don't have to look 15 times through my legend to find the color. So when I get to the next one, it tells me what color that is. So it is This app is just the cat's meow, folks. If you haven't found it, really just go check it out. Now, the only thing is, iPad users, I'm so sorry, but it's not available for iPad. And the developer has said that because of all the hoops that you have to jump through to have an app work on an Apple product, it's going to be at least a year before she'd even begin to work on an Apple, getting it into an iOS system. So this is really only for Androids at this point in time. Fortunately for me, I happen to have a Kindle Fire 10 laying around that wasn't being used, and I could put it on there and happily stitch away with this. It has been just super fantastic, and I am so in love with this app. Let me get you back in here so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry if I'm making you a little seasick here with the jiggling. So if you haven't found the app yet, go check it out, because it's well worth investigating, and especially if you have an Android device or a Kindle Fire, it will work on a Kindle. For a lot of people that didn't have Android devices purchased Kindle Fires. I think there was a special, or they got a really awesome price on Kindle Fires here not too long ago, that it was really not expensive at all to purchase one, and they're basically using it just for the app. So it might be something some of you want to check into if you want to use the app, especially given the fact that it's going to be quite some time until it would be available on an iPad or on an Apple product. So, I mean, that's certainly up to each individual person. If I would not have had this Kindle Fire, you best believe I would have purchased an Android tablet just so that I could use the app. Okay, here, needle, come through, there we go. I can't say enough good things about it. It's just the cat's meow. I just love it. Okay, so let's see. There were some comments in the Facebook group about getting your stitches to lay neatly. So I thought today we'd talk about that a little bit. It is and again, these are just my personal opinions, so, and what works for me. And I'm sure it could be different for everybody. What I had posted on the group and relayed to this person who asked the question is, when you're stitching, I gotta start a new thread here. When you're stitching, be careful and watch where you're coming up and where you're going down, because what happens is, okay, well, let me start this thread and then I'll go into a little more detail. I'm kind of in a little bit of an awkward position here today. I don't know why I set this up that I'm a little further, that I'm a little further away than I normally end. And while I start this thread, I will give you an update. I am trying to stitch two-handed again. It's been a little bit challenging since my hand is now out of all the braces and paraphernalia from my surgery. I am released from the doctor. Everything is healed. However, I still have, I don't know if you can see it here, I still have swelling in my wrist and swelling on this side of my wrist. But we've now decided that in addition to the severe arthritis that I had in my thumb, I also have arthritis in my wrist. So my wrist has not recovered as well from being immobilized as we hoped it would. So I'm kind of back to stitching with just one hand because this hand my left hand just gets too tired. So anyway, back to neat stitches. If you look at where I am here, when my thread comes up, it's always coming up in a hole that has 0 or only one pass of the thread in it, okay? So which is why I stitch from the bottom left to the top right, because in the top right, I'm always going down in a hole that has the 2 or 3 threads in it, okay? If you come up in these top holes, what you have a tendency to do then, and it doesn't happen all the time, but the tendency is there that these threads that are already in that hole get pulled up, and then that loosens your stitch. And makes it look messier than it had. So you're always coming up in a hole that has just, okay, here we go. Sorry, I gotta mark these off as I go. You're always coming up in a hole that has just one or two or 0 or 1 thread in it, so that you're always going down in the holes that have 2 or 3 threads in it. So that's one way to keep your stitches neater, by doing that. And again, that's why I stitch top down, so that I'm always coming up in the holes that don't have as much thread and going down in the holes that do have thread. The other thing, and I would have not thought as much about this, I listened to a YouTube video with Kim at Sassy Jacks, and she was interviewing Susan Greening Davis, and they were talking about needles. Okay, here we go. I must have a lot of... Okay. They were talking about needles and the fact that the likelihood that a lot of us, and I include myself in this, are using needles that are too small. They're not the right size for the thread count that you're using. And what she was saying is, okay, let me say this first. I was a fan of size 28 needles. And I was using a size 28 needle on basically everything that I stitched, whether it was 40 count, whether it was 45 count, whether it was 28 count, didn't matter. No matter what, I was using a size 28 needle. Now, how many of you have had the issue where you're stitching merrily along, happy, and all of a sudden your thread and your needle are not attached to the part of the thread that's coming out of your fabric? I've had that happen. So what happened was the eye of the needle wore the thread so thin that it frayed, or your thread starts to lose its shine and get really, really fuzzy and doesn't look as nice as it did when you first started that strand of thread. Well, really what that means is, and a lot of people are saying, well, your thread was too long, your thread was too long. Yes, that's one part of it, or one reason that can happen. But the other reason that happens is because your needle is the wrong size. When your needle passes through your fabric, what that needle is supposed to do is not only take your thread to the other side of the fabric so that you can come back up, but the reason that your needle, okay, the shaft of your needle starts out thinner and goes to a little thicker, and the eye of your needle is thicker, is because the whole purpose is for that eye of the needle to open up the hole so that when your thread passes through that hole, it's not dragging against the thread, against the fabric threads, because it's that dragging against the fabric threads that causes your thread to wear. It causes your thread to get thinner and fuzzy and not because it fuzzes up, it's not going to lay as nice. So after I listened to this, I had heard this before, and I experimented a little bit with it. And then after I listened to this video with Kim and Susan Greening, I messed, oh no, there it is. Separated a thread out and then lost it. I experimented a little bit with it, and it's totally right. She's totally right in the fact that if this needle, the eye isn't large enough, the thread drags, it loses its shine, it starts getting fuzzy, and it even loses the twist. So I have, in all honesty, made the conscious decision that I'm not going to use a size 28 needle anymore. And I should have brought it over with me, and I didn't. I'm over stitching in my sun porch today, and I am in just a terrible confetti section here, so that's why we're a little slower than normal, because I am at the spot where I have just one stitch of a color, and then I have to end my thread. Ugh. Gets annoying, folks, but we'll do it. And like I said, I'm just a little bit further away from my stitching today than I normally am, so that's also making it a little slower. But anyway, I have made the conscious decision that I'm not going to use this needle any smaller than a 26. A 26. Oh my God, I purchased this awesome fabric. It's called Meldal, Meldal. Oh my God, and it's great. It is absolutely great. I totally love it. It is a 56 count. Yes, folks, you heard right. A 56 count even weave by Zweigert. And I got a few pieces, which I now feel very blessed to have gotten, because I tried to get some more. Sorry, bumped you. I tried to get more of it, only to find out, I contacted Kathy at Needle in a Haystack, only to find out that Zweigert is no longer producing it because there wasn't a big enough demand. So I feel fortunate to have gotten the few pieces that I did, because I love the stuff. I thought I wasn't going to be able to stitch on those lower counts anymore, but the threads are so even. I mean, it's really very much like a Lugana in the consistency of the threads. And because of that, the holes are just so much easier to see. Oh, I'm in heaven. But at any rate, back to the point I was making here after I went down that itty bitty rabbit hole, is that on that fabric, even though it's 56 count, you know, everybody's inclination would be, oh my God, I have to use a 28 needle because it's such a small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Karen, you started a thread and you didn't have to. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start at the other end here where I already have part. This is what happens when I come back to things and forget which direction I was going. Anyway, everybody would think that, oh my gosh, that's 56 count. You have to use a 28 needle or a, Jan Lee at the Attic always recommended when she was using Tudor silks, a size 10 ballpoint needle. And I'm gonna disagree with that. I used sorry about that here, folks. I'm marking my chart again. I used Gentle Art sampler threads on this piece. So that's the, you know, same thickness as your DMC. And it was fine. And a 26 needle. And I want to tell you, my stitches look so very nice. I was totally impressed. I would have never thought it. I would have thought, oh my God, how am I going to get a 26 needle through those itty bitty holes without having a big major problem? And really, this piece has been a joy to stitch. In fact, next video I will make sure that I have it with me and can show it to you. I really am almost finished with it, as a matter of fact. It's Blackbird's Designs, the summer, autumn, winter, the 3-piece, the chart that comes in 3 sections and you put it all together to make one. And it's the one where the winter is like super hard to find. I was lucky enough to be able to find all 3 charts, and I love the design. And the 56 count makes it small enough to fit into a Sudbury tray that I have. So I'm really excited to have it finished. But I used a 26 needle. I used Gentle Art sampler threads on it, and I am just so very pleased. So if you're having trouble with your thread fraying, or lacking its luster, try using a bit of a larger needle. And I think you will see a big difference in your stitching by doing that. You know, it's, if nothing else, it's at least worth trying. You know, give it a shot, see what happens, and see if that doesn't improve your the neatness of your stitches. You know, that's often a question that I get, you know, and not that my stitches are always all that neat and perfect, because personally I don't. When they look good on camera, but there are times when you look at them for real and they're not as great as you think they would be or should be. But I would suggest try that. In fact, even if, say, you're working on a 30 or 32 count, try a 24 needle. See what that does. But the whole thing is, you know, you don't want to hear that dragging sound when your thread is coming through your fabric. You might hear initially the pop, so to speak, but you don't want it to make that where you can hear it drag the whole way through. You know, you might get some sound, or you might notice a little bit when the tail is still coming through, but you don't want it to have that dragging sound the whole time it's coming through your fabric. So that's, you know, just a little ditty for you guys to think about as you're stitching. And how do you get neat stitches? What can you do to make your stitches neater? Okay, I have to end this one. Yeah, like I said, I am in this crazy confetti area here today. So I'm doing a lot of starting and stopping. Oh, and as I'm doing this pin stitch, I was also reading, and I think most of you that have followed me already know that a pin stitch can be done on your 25 count even weave. There were some folks that I was reading that thought, oh my goodness, I'm using 25 count, I'm using even weave, I can't do a pin stitch. And yeah, you can. It's a little trickier because you're piercing fabric threads, but it can be done. And if you go back on some of my other videos, you will see there I have demonstrations of a pin stitch being done on a 25 count fabric. So you might want to go back and check that out. So wow, I'm already past a half hour, so I don't want to make this too long. I have a lot of things to do yet before I get ready so that I can get ready for my trip. We're leaving on Wednesday and going to Virginia. My stitchy friend and I are going to visit another stitchy friend in Virginia and hopefully have a fabulous time, which I am positively sure that we will. I think we're even going, I forget which sampler guild it is, but we're even going with her to her sampler guild meeting. I believe I want to say it's on Saturday. And Teresa Baird of Heart's Ease Designs is going to be there. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. It should be an awesome time. So with that, folks, I'm gonna call this an end today. I'm gonna wish you all a happy stitchy week. Enjoy your stitching, find your joy, and I will see you next time.